intensifying our sensitization and public communication. And I take it that, again, as I appreciate you, you are here so that you help us in dealing with this. There isn't enough sensitization. If we can speak about Ebola in terms of our preparedness, in terms of what to look out for, the better for all of us. So I am urging you, members of the fourth estate as well, to be partners with us so that we can be able to get the right information to the public, not just about Ebola, but about matters health. On to the second issue, my colleague responsible for immigration has actually just got caught up. He was supposed to be here with me because we want to confirm all the border posts. We again up the surveillance that is happening with intensified patrol, with intensified sharing of information across. It will be recollected that this is not just a Kenyan issue. We are actually handling these as countries that neighbor DRC, including our brothers in Uganda, our brothers in Tanzania. And last week again, we were at Namanga border post with our colleagues from Tanzania looking at our preparedness, and there was a simulation exercise that happened there. It means it's not a Kenyan issue, but obviously as a country, our borders and our own nation are as important as the region where the transmission could emanate from. So we are working, like I indicated, in a multi-stakeholder approach, if you will.
Right, that's a live press conference from the CS in charge of health, just trying to allay the fears that the first suspected case of Ebola in the country was actually Ebola, and Cecily says that the symptoms exhibited by that patient does not meet the criteria to be graded as Ebola. She's, however, urging caution and urging the media to report this more responsibly, because possibly this can cause alarm in the country, and that they are also working with the other countries in the region, especially Uganda, where there are reported cases, and Tanzania, and also noting that the origin of this, which is DRC Congo, is massively affected, and we cannot go that direction, because if we continue doing this, we might cause panic. But the government says the country is still in high alert, and if there is information that needs to be passed, we need to pass it, including the fact that she gave a toll-free number to be called if you suspect there's a case of Ebola, and just asking you be vigilant, and of course urging for patience as the government tries to do its best. Well, it's about a minute to 1 p.m. We'll be right back with other stories making news headlines. Plus, Seth is still at the airport. We'll also try and speak to him to put this to perspective. Stay with us.
This is NTV.
The Nation Leadership Forum is an interactive, high-profile event which provides a platform to spotlight issues affecting Kenyans.
Open the news and you see Kenyans fighting over flour. It is life and death.
The forum has so far taken on different topical issues.
Men are running away from their responsibility.
The ladies have a sense of entitlement to these opportunities already. The boy child cannot take it anymore.
Manufacturing, election preparedness.
Can there be an incentive of how efficient that system is?
Food security, health.
Kenya, like the rest of Africa, is 50% short of doctors.
We want houses that are affordable, at the same time habitable.
Education.
Education in any country is as good as the quality of the teachers.
And power of youth to drive progress.
How many of us have really gone to ask our youth, what are you passionate about?
We will be looking forward to most of the youth helping us so that the money goes into the pockets of the young people for purposes of their empowerment and not empowering a few merchants of Venice.
The Nation Leadership Forum focuses on finding possible solutions to the socio-economic issues experienced in the country.
We must plan together, reason together, and come up with solutions that will make us one proud, healthy nation.
Nation Leadership Forum, engaging society, impacting the nation.
said to me, young man, do it on your own and show me what you've got.
Here are the pictures I got of the suspects who threatened you inside the farm.
So tell me what I need to do for you to say yes. This is where I point.
A very good afternoon. It's 6 minutes past 1 p.m. My name is Ken Mijungu and welcome to NTV at 1. And let's begin from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport because the case on Ebola and the suspected case that is in the country is really putting everyone on toes. Just a few minutes ago, there was a briefing from Cecily Kariuki, who is the CS in charge of our health in the country. And Seth Olale was covering that press conference. He now joins me live to talk about this. Seth, good afternoon to you. And obviously the government is trying to calm the nerves of a lot of Kenyans who might be thinking that the virus is it's here in the country. And one of the things she said is that after looking at this isolated case, it does not meet the threshold, or she cannot be classified as one who's suffering Ebola. Tell us more.
Well, good afternoon, Ken Mijungu. Right, the CS did indicate that Kenyans don't need to panic, and that as far as she is concerned and the government is concerned, there is no case of Ebola in the country. She reiterated that an advanced team was actually earlier on sent to Kerio Referral Hospital and accessed the said patient who it was being feared that she had contracted some symptoms related to Ebola. But the message, or rather the outcome from this advanced team, is so clear that neither of each and every symptom or any illness that this patient had is anywhere closer to the symptoms related to Ebola. And so the CS telling Kenyans that they are safe as far as outbreak of Ebola in the country is concerned, but at the same time urging Kenyans to, take all other precautions when it comes to health issues to ensure that issues or rather incidents to do with health protection or health or disease protection begins with them. And so those are just some of the sentiments from the CS. But even earlier on, Ken, the CS took members of the Fourth Estate journalists through some screening exercise here at the JKIA. And right now, this queue, actually those are queued right behind me, but that the passengers have already been screened, those who are arriving in the country. And this is the process that they are mandated to undergo. Once they just enter this particular area, they are supposed to fill in specific forms that actually they're supposed to indicate where they come from. They're also supposed to indicate where they're going to, who they're going to visit, and the target areas, or rather the target states, are countries from West Africa as well as Uganda. And they're just making sure that each and every details, and especially health records for each and everyone entering the country, is taken into consideration. After filling those forms, they are supposed to, come here and undergo further examination. And right now, I just want to maybe just engage you. Excuse me? You're live on NTV. Just kindly tell us what's happening at this particular area. Start by introducing yourself.
My name is Olivia Kaburu. Pause. Am I allowed to do this?
Yeah, it's fine. No.
Okay, just informing us she's not allowed or rather authorized to speak to the media. But as I told you earlier on, Ken Mijungu, is that the CS took journalists through some screening procedures here at the JKIA. It is mandatory for each and every person, including VIPs. But even to get clearer of what the CS said minutes ago, let's just listen into the CS for Health, Cecile Karaoke.
I wish to further confirm that the ministry has a total of 259 staff deployed at the various ports of entry, and in addition, we have in the last 1 week deployed 21 Ebola champions who have been brought in to support the national team. It will be remembered that Kenya contributed to fighting Ebola in Liberia some years back by getting some of our HR attached in Liberia. They have since come back and they have joined my team in the ministry, and we have therefore redeployed them to the ports of entry to support the local team. As a ministry, we remain committed to ensuring that relevant surveillance measures are in place to safeguard the health of all Kenyans and our visitors. I wish to remind members of the public to remain vigilant. Those with any cases that range from fevers, chills, headaches, and especially history of recent travel to affected countries should present themselves to the nearest health facility or contact the Ministry of Health Emergency Operations Center through the following hotlines: 0732 35 3535 or 0729 471414.
Karaoke CS for Health. Like I told you earlier, once the passengers come through this particular entry point, they are required to come and fill in these particular forms. And maybe if my camera person, Wambui Kurema, could just zoom in and just show our viewers what the details in this particular form that is supposed to be filled. It's called the Traveler Surveillance Form. And this is from the Ministry of Health, Ebola virus disease. So once they come in, they're supposed to fill this particular form over here and just pick it maybe for our records, and also come through this particular place. And so once they come here, further verification is taken at this particular point. You can see there's a sanitizer over here, and this is just to ensure that all the procedures in terms of screening is undertaken here at the JKIA arrival point. And after that, they're also made to come through this particular station where further screening is undertaken. By, obviously, they're not allowed to speak to the media, but this is just what goes on in. Right now, you can see that it is barely empty, but we have passengers have been coming in depending on their flight schedule. But this is what we can update you from the JKIA airport. Ken Mijungu, back to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Seth, for that information. And indeed, we are providing more information away from the airport. Health authorities in the country are on high alert over fears of a suspected Ebola case in the country. Now, 3 people are currently under quarantine in Kerio. Health authorities in the country say blood samples from the unidentified persons were sent to the Kenya Medical Research Institution, that's Kerio, in Kisumu, for further analysis.
An unidentified female patient suspected to have been infected with the Ebola virus is currently being held in isolation at the Kerio County Referral Hospital. The woman, who had reportedly traveled from Malaba, Busia County on the Kenya-Uganda border to see her spouse, who currently works in Kerio, was initially admitted at Siloam Private Hospital in Kerio, complaining of a headache, fever, puffy face, diarrhea and nausea. She was then transferred to Kerio County Referral Hospital, where her blood samples were sent to the Kenya Medical Research Institute, Kerio, in Kisumu for further analysis. The patient's husband and a passenger who attended to the woman while on transit from Malaba to Kerio are also being quarantined in Kerio. However, authorities have not yet revealed details of a passenger service vehicle which arrived with the patient on Sunday at 6 p.m. in Kerio town amid fears that other passengers' health might be at risk. Neighboring Uganda had confirmed Ebola cases last week, where 2 family members died after traveling to the DRC to attend a funeral. The boy's brother, aged 3, is also infected, and several family members are in isolation.
Right, let's now provide you with some information about Ebola, and these are the few things you need to know about the virus and the disease. Now, one, it's a rare illness, but it's severe and can lead to fatalities in humans that contract the disease within a few days. There are a variety of symptoms for Ebola, which include fever, feeling fatigued or tired, muscle pain, headaches and vomiting, among others. Most severe symptoms, obviously, you'll experience them, include internal and external bleeding. Medical tests should always be carried out to confirm whether these symptoms are indeed a sign of Ebola or if they're consistent. Now, the disease is transmitted to people from wild animals that may have it and spreads in humans through human-to-human transmission. This is via direct contact through the blood or body fluids of a person who is sick with Ebola or who has died from the disease. Contaminated objects can also transmit the disease. Now, it's diagnosed through various medical tests, which should be carried out at a certified medical institution that have the capacity to run the correct tests. It's no more proven treatment. There is no proven treatment for Ebola, but rehydration is often used as a form of treatment. And you can protect yourself in the following ways: by ensuring that you and the people around you are well informed about the symptoms that we have just mentioned at the top, and seek medical attention where necessary without causing panic to the people around you. Now let's take you to Busia now, where screening has been intensified for all the travelers using the border point. Our spot check at the Busia border point showed hundreds undergoing thermal screening before entering the country. According to Joshua Aruse, who is the port's health officer, 2 screening points have been created at the border to ensure that Kenya is safe. Now, local residents going to the market across the border are also screened. Now, this comes after 4 people were put in isolation in a hospital in Kerio. Health authorities remain on red alert over the suspected case of Ebola, which the government has assured is unlikely to be.
Message to Kenyans is that they should be careful. They should not come in. They should try as much as possible coming in contact with strangers. not even strangers alone. People who has the history of coming from Congo or the western part of Uganda, they're supposed to be careful.
Away from matters health, one person died and 11 others were injured in an accident that occurred along the Nakuru-Eldoret highway on Sunday. A bus and a trailer crashed into each other head-on at the Mau Summit after the trailer allegedly lost control, while the driver was on the wrong side of the road. According to one of the bus passengers, Bishop Charles Oko, most of the commuters on board were members of the Pendo La Amani Church who were traveling back home from Nairobi after attending a 3-day church conference. The bodies of the deceased were taken to the Molo Sub-County District Hospital. Actually, it's the body of the deceased because it's only one person who died in that accident. To Mombasa, where police are investigating the death of a 21-year-old. David Stewart was found dead by members of his family on Thursday morning after night out partying with his friends who are currently in police custody. They are yet to be arraigned. Ken Mijungu reports that the post-mortem results showed that David died from cardiac arrest.
A family in Nyali is in pain and agony following the death of their kin. According to family members, David Stewart had gone out with his friends on Wednesday night, only to be brought back the following day in the morning with a wound in his neck. The security guard claims that he thought that Stewart was drunk when he saw his friends carrying him and abandoned him outside the door before taking off. At that point, he was still alive.
Alishinda na mamake mchana wote, akatoka na mamake, akarudi jioni, aliporudi jioni akatoka tena. Ndio akakuja nao friends.
Masaa 12 asubuhi ndio sisi tulitambua kwa yuko hapo amenyeshewa. Kwa wakati by the time tunampeleka hospitali alikuwa pronounced dead on arrival.
According to police, preliminary investigations revealed that Stewart and his friends were seen along Mamangina waterfront at around 8 o'clock. Then a few hours later, they made their way to Casablanca along Moi Avenue, where they were confronted by CID officers. The trio, who were allegedly drunk, refused to surrender and instead sped off towards Nyali, where they dumped the vehicle they were using and proceeded to Mkomani, where they continued with merrymaking.
Ukiangalia at the age, hapa kuna ujana mwingi sana na vijana wako mambo mingi. So siwezi kujua walikuwa wanafanya nini.
According to the post-mortem report released on Friday, the deceased died from cardiac arrest, raising fears of drug overdose. It is, however, unclear what caused the wound in Stewart's neck. A toxicology examination is said to be undertaken that will provide a possible answer.
Mwili wake uko na alama ya sindano kwa shingo na alama nyingine ya sindano kwa mkono.
Akisema ilikuwa na sumu. Sasa hapo ndio tutaweza kufuatilia. Sababu tuko na wale walikuwa naye dakika ya mwisho, tunafanya uchunguzi. Na tukipata ilikuwa na sumu, watatueleza inaweza kuwa ilikuwa na shida gani.
Ni kijana mdogo na he had a bright future ahead of him. And it is very inavunja moyo sana kwamba matimio yake yamekatwa tu hivyo ghafla.
Investigating officers are now left to piece the puzzle together from the chronology of events that led to the last moments of Stewart's life and come up with a conclusive finding on the cause of his death. Ken Mijungu, NTV, Mombasa.
All right, let's go back to the issue of health and take you to Kerio, where the news broke this morning that the suspected case of Ebola had been arrested there, and the woman was put in isolation. And let's listen in.
It is, but as it is right now, we don't think it's Ebola, but we don't want to take chances, and that is why we've taken samples to Kerio, and we're waiting for the results in the course of the day. Possibly by around 4:30 or 5, we should be having the results back from Kerio to either confirm or rule out Ebola. As early as 4:30 p.m. today, we will have known, we will have received results from Kerio to know whether it's Ebola for sure or another disease. But as it is, we have just taken the precautionary measures. We don't want to, because we've been on a high state of alertness, and our surveillance team working with the private picked it, and here we are now, just to make sure that we put everything in place and wait for the results. If it's Ebola, yes, we still have the capacity to handle. We have also been joined by an expert from WHO, Dr. Peter Githua, working with our local expertise. He's worked in West Africa, and we are looking at this case together keenly and closely. So the results, we expect them at 4:30 p.m. or 5, they're about today.
How many are in isolation?
We have the patient herself, plus the husband who has no symptoms, and 2 other people who came into contact with her, because as she traveled from Uganda, she was already feeling ill. So by the time they reached here, I think they just went to a private facility, and that is when the alert was issued out, and we went for the patient. We brought the patient here. We have isolation facilities here, and we've isolated the patient. So they are all there quarantined because of the contact, but they don't exhibit any symptoms at all. It's just the patient who's still unwell. And until we get the results, we can't say it's Ebola or not Ebola.
Right, I think the information is out that that case is not confirmed to be Ebola. Now, police officers raided a woman's home right here in Nairobi's Eastleigh area last night, believing the home was being used as a brothel for underage girls. It's alleged that the house in Shamaha building had been a den where foreigners will engage the underage girls in sexual activities. NTV's Mary Beffin with the story.
Pangani police officers stormed Sharmahan building. This is the house said to be used as a brothel for underage girls. 2 girls who were living in the house were arrested along with the owner, popularly known as VIP.
Wananunuliwa hizi chemicals. Anabilijua anakaa smart. Customer anatoka pale kwa shisha anasema oh, picha msichana ndo huyu, anachagua huyo mtoto ndo atapelekwa kwa lodging.
Police discovered various drugs, tobacco, and multiple syringes. The raid comes after a 14-year-old girl was found bleeding profusely after a forced abortion. According to the girl, who was 4 months pregnant, the owner kicked her several times in the stomach with the intention of getting rid of her pregnancy after she found out that her brother was responsible for the pregnancy.
Kuna huyu mama anajiita yeye VIP. I don't know what she mean that VIP. Maybe she's so special because selling young girls, wasichana wadogo ndio anauzia kwa hao wanaume wanatoka kutoka majuu.
This is the man accused of abusing the 14-year-old girl who flew back to Sweden where he lives.
Ni 14 years, 15, 16, 17 hapo. Is underage wote. Ni watoto saizi wangekuwa shule.
According to the girl, she is one of 5 girls from Mandera who were promised a good life in the city. VIP, the owner, brought her from Romo village last year. She says she has not been in contact with her parents since she left Mandera. VIP has allegedly been responsible for trafficking underage and uneducated girls from Mandera. The girls say at least 2 men used to molest her every day. Speaking at Pangani police station following the arrest of VIP, Fatma Maalim, a Somali activist, expressed her disgust towards the incident and condemned the people who subject young children to sexual practices. She called on Muslim sheikhs to intervene in the matter.
We need everybody, the ulamas, the sheikh, stop preaching on the mosque, come to the ground. Tell them the people who are selling our girls to stop selling.
The minor has been referred to Nairobi Women's Hospital for treatment. Police are conducting their investigations to ensure the culprits are caught. Mary Beffin, NTV.
Elsewhere, a family in Kaptolomo village in West Pokot County is searching for their daughter, a Class 8 candidate, who they say was abducted from her home in April this year by a group of more than 20 men. The family says they fear their 13-year-old daughter has been forced into marriage.
Belinda Chelimo was looking forward to sitting her Kenya Certificate of Primary Education exams later this year. Chelimo, who is index number 2 at Koptolomo Primary School, carried her parents' dream of a better future. But this dream has been threatened after a group of more than 20 men stormed their home at Kaptolomo village in West Pokot County on the night of 26th of April while she was asleep and abducted her.
Wasichana kwa darasa hiyo yake walikuwa wasichana 7, wavulana wakiwa wavulana 9. Jumla darasa ilikuwa na wanafunzi 16. Huyu msichana akitolewa sasa inamaanisha wasichana wanapunguka. Na wasichana ndio wanakuwa kwamba wanapata shida nyingi sana kwa ajili ya hii tamaduni.
The 13-year-old has been missing for more than a month now. Neighbors suspect that the girl was taken to Uganda and the family fears that Chelimo could have been forced into marriage. Religious leaders are weighing in on the matter, urging the government to help the family find their daughter.
Tunalaumu serikali kwa sababu wamekataa kuchukua hatua kulete huyo mtoto ama kuzuia haya mabaya yasifanyike. Walipashwa habari na wangetafuta kuenda kuleta huyo mtoto haraka. Sasa wamekawia, lawama inaenda kwao.
Area leaders say cases of child forced marriages have been rampant in North Pokot. West Pokot County Commissioner Apollo Okello says the case is under investigation. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
Now, Deputy President William Ruto is assuring residents of the Kerio Valley they are safe. The President's assurance comes after a spate of insecurity occasioned by controversy over the fate of the National Police reservists in the area. Now, the area has also witnessed episodes of banditry and cattle rustling. Leaders from the area are now calling on the Ministry of Interior to integrate National Police reservists from Marakwet and Pokot and deploy them along the river Kerio, which is the border of Elgeyo Marakwet and Baringo counties, in order to deter any attacks from either side.
Tunataka Waziri Matiang'i na ule IG Mutiambai wawachane na mambo ya kufukuzana na wanasiasa, kuarrest huyu mwanasiasa huyu, kukimbiza na escort mwingine kutoka Nandi mpaka Kisumu, sijui kusukuma mwingine. Hiyo nguvu yote wako nayo wapeleke Kerio Valley. Sisi tukae kwa amani.
Tungeomba ile mpango ambaye serikali iweke sasa, i-recruit our NPR, iwapatie bunduki, na tunaomba round hii isikuwe ni NPR ya Marakwet wanakaa kivyao, wale wa West Pokot wanakaa peke yao, wa Baringo wakae peke yao. Hao wote wawekwe Kerio Valley along Kerio River, wachunge hiyo area yote.
Mimi nataka niwaeleze ya kwamba NPR, National Police Reserve, ni watu ambao wanatambulika kisheria na wanatambulika na jeshi letu la polisi. Hawa watu sio militia. These are officers recognized by the law and by the National Police Service Act. Therefore, those who are talking other languages and other stories are people who have no truth in them. And we will continue to work with the National Police, with the National Police Reserve, to make sure that security is maintained in all parts of the Republic of Kenya.
To some business now, and alternative banking channels are going a long way in aiding banks to weather the storm of the interest rate cap, which adversely affected the industry level of profitability. A report by Saiton Investments indicates that return on equity for banks in the first quarter of 2019 went up marginally to 19.2% from 18.4% at a similar period last year. The National Treasury has now signaled its intention to have the rate cap repealed in what is an admission that the law has had a counterproductive impact on the economy. Banks have increased efficiency and reduced staff and branches in a bid to mitigate the effects of interest rate capping, even as volume of non-performing loans goes up.
The lending rates are tied to the central bank rate. Any decline in the central bank rate ideally compresses the yields available for banks, and this has been a case because over the last 1 year period we've seen the central bank rate decline by 100 basis points, and this has tended to compress the interest income from banks even more. And in 2018 we had about 25 branches being closed, but for the first quarter of this year we had one new branch opening.
So a lot of banks are looking for regional expansion to grow their business and drive growth in the region. As you also know, in Kenya, we are still operating under the interest rate capped regime. So it's making it a bit harder for Kenyan banks to actually increase their interest income.
And across the border, a top Sudanese general vowed Sunday to send to the gallows those who carried out a deadly crackdown on protesters earlier this month that killed dozens and left hundreds wounded. This comes as the fallen leader Omar al-Bashir was seen in public for the first time since being ousted, as he was driven in armored convoy to the prosecutor's office.
A field commander, Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, says that they are working hard to take those who carried out deadly crackdown on protesters to the gallows and that anyone who committed any fault will be held accountable. According to witnesses, thousands of protesters who had camped outside the Khartoum military headquarters for weeks were violently dispersed by armed men in military fatigues on June 3rd. More than 100 people were reportedly killed that day in Khartoum, according to doctors linked to the protest movement, while the health ministry puts the nationwide death toll at 61. On Thursday, the military council spokesperson expressed regret over the crackdown. He insists that it did not order the dispersal, saying it had actually planned to purge an area near the protest camp where people are said to sell drugs. The crackdown has triggered international condemnation, with the United States and others calling for an independent probe into the killings.
The dispersal of the sit-in was a trap planted against the rapid support forces. I should not go into details because we will talk after the investigation. The goal was only to evacuate the Columbia area and the Nile Road, but a different thing happened for other reasons.
Meanwhile, fallen Sudanese leader Omar al-Bashir was on Sunday seen in public for the first time since being ousted, as he was driven in an armed convoy to the prosecutor's office. The former strongman who ruled his Northeast African nation with an iron fist for 3 decades was toppled on April 11 after months of protest against his reign. Dressed in a white traditional robe and turban, Bashir rode in a heavily armed convoy from the notorious Kober prison in the Sudanese capital Khartoum to the prosecutor's office to face charges of alleged corruption.
All right, time now to play, and Ida Waringa is in studio. Ida?
Thanks for that, Ken. Let's get into the world of sports, starting things off with athletics, where Kenya's Nelly Jepkosgei saw off competition from Ethiopia's Habitam Lemu to win the women's 800 meters at the 6th leg of the IAAF Diamond League in Rabat. The 800 meters women's event had earlier courted controversy when two-time Olympic champion Caster Semenya rejected IAAF's invite to participate in the race following her bitter court battle over gender rules. Meanwhile, Botswana's Nigel Amos beat Kenyan Emmanuel Kipkirui Korir, the reigning Diamond League champion, to win the men's 800 meters. This as Benjamin Kigen and Leonard Bett finished 3rd and 4th respectively in the men's 3,000. finally managed, I do beg your pardon, their first win of the season when they beat Green Sharks 4-2 in the Men's Premier League at City Park Stadium. Earlier, Strathmore University Scorpions and USIU Spartans battled to a goalless draw in a Women's Premier League fixture at the same venue. However, Gladiators still remained in the relegation zone, having only climbed one place from the bottom of the 10-team table to 9th with 4 points, while Green Sharks stayed 5th with 9 points. Gladiators skipper Festus Onyango scored a double, with Jerry Ogaso and Edgar Makete scoring one each to overshadow Chris Wakila's brace for goals of Green Sharks. That winds it down for now in terms of sporting updates, but we will be back at 9 p.m. Much more in terms of the African groups. We will be assessing Group B tonight. I will see you then. I'm Ida Warenga. Back to Ken.
And thank you, Ida, very much. I'll also be back tomorrow on Sidebar beginning 9 p.m. on NTV tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Do enjoy the rest of the afternoon.